Death shall come on swift wings to those who dare disturb the king. These words were not merely an inscription on the walls of Tutankhamun's tomb. They were a direct warning, a chilling message from the depths of time, as if the pharaohs did not leave their world unguarded. The curse of the pharaohs, mere myth, or a hidden truth lurking in the shadows of history. A door to the unknown. On a hot November morning in 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter stood before the entrance of a tomb untouched for over 3,000 years. His heart pounded and his hands trembled despite decades of excavation experience. He had spent his life chasing this moment, the moment of the greatest discovery. The sand still covered much of the entrance, but faint hieroglyphs were visible on the stone wall, as though time itself had stopped there. Carter took up his iron chisel and began to carve a small hole in the door. When it was done, he raised his lantern to peer inside. Beyond the hole, the darkness was dense, as if the tomb refused to surrender its secrets easily. Slowly, shapes began to emerge. Golden statues, ornate chests, jewel-studded thrones. He realized he was gazing upon a treasure untouched for millennia. "Can you see anything?" asked Lord Carnarvon, the expedition's primary sponsor, standing eagerly behind him. Carter smiled and whispered, "Yes, wonderful things." But none of them knew those wonderful things would bring with them death. Within weeks of the tomb's opening, the first victims began to fall. Lord Carnarvon was the first to suffer the curse. While staying in Cairo, he was bitten on the cheek by a mosquito. It seemed harmless at first, but the wound grew infected, turning into a fatal illness. He developed a raging fever, and his body weakened, as though some unseen force was draining the life from him. On April 5th, 1923, Carnarvon died in his hotel room. At the exact moment he passed, all the lights in Cairo mysteriously went out for several minutes. The timing was too eerie to ignore. Then the deaths continued. Arthur Mace, Carter's assistant, died of a mysterious fever after visiting the tomb. George Gould, a visitor to the tomb, fell ill the very next day and died shortly after. Aubert Leblanc, a French Egyptologist involved in the research, was found dead in his apartment weeks later. His face twisted as if he had seen something unspeakable. Even Howard Carter himself was not untouched by the tomb's power. Though he escaped sudden death, he lived his final years in isolation, haunted by nightmares, convinced that unseen eyes were always watching him. Science versus the curse. Of course, not everyone believed in a supernatural curse. Scientists sought logical explanations, offering several theories. Some suggested the tomb contained ancient bacteria or toxic mold sealed for centuries, which infected those who entered. Others believed that psychological stress and fear triggered real physical symptoms, with the ominous inscriptions and belief in the curse manifesting as illness. Still, there were those who believed the curse was real, that the pharaohs possessed ancient knowledge of energy, magic, or spiritual forces to protect their tombs from trespassers. And even decades after the tomb's discovery, the strange incidents didn't stop. In 1972, when Tutankhamun's golden mask was transported to a museum in London, one of the staff involved died of a sudden heart attack, and others experienced bizarre accidents while working on the exhibit. What if it's not just a myth? Today, despite advances in science, no supernatural force has been definitively proven. But the questions remain. Why did so many people who touched the treasure or entered the tomb meet untimely ends? Were these just tragic coincidences? Or was there something hidden, still influencing the fate of those who disturb the legacy of the pharaohs? What if there are secrets buried in these tombs? Secrets that go beyond the limits of human understanding. Perhaps the ancient Egyptians knew something we've yet to grasp. Something about the power of symbols, words, and belief. Or perhaps the curse was psychological, but still effective, spreading fear and death across centuries. And the next time you stand before an ancient Egyptian tomb, and you feel that inexplicable chill run down your spine, ask yourself, is it just the cold? Or is there an unseen eye, still watching,